They say the joy of dressing is an art. Today I have an entrepreneur, a fine designer in Sri Lanka, none other than Jezza Jameel. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Jezza, when did you realize, okay, this is what I'm going to be? I'm not going to be a doctor, lawyer, and engineer. I want to be a designer. How did the journey start?
Probably in like grade 2 or something. I was like really small when I decided I'm going to be a designer. But that has a lot to do with my personal background of my parents being entrepreneurs, and they had their own clothing store and everything. So I was exposed to this environment from the day I was born, basically. So I knew pretty early on that this is what I was going to do. I had no doubt in my mind.
Okay, that's lovely. So that is when did you start sketching designs? When you were in grade 2?
I used to rip old clothes, and I used to cut up my clothes and stitch them up and do something with it, make my own designs. I used to draw, I used to sketch, I used to sell my drawings to my friends for like 5 rupees and things. So it was I knew I was going to be someone who sold clothes for a living.
Okay.
Very early on. Like I never considered anything else.
So how supportive were your parents in this journey?
Extremely. I think the part of the reason why I knew early on was my dad genuinely believed that someday I would take over his business. So he would always encourage me. He'd buy me like felt pens and coloring books, and I was always exposed to this world of making clothing. My dad especially was the most encouraging person. It's probably how I ended up here as well.
Okay, that's also into their daughters. Tell me about your mom. How supportive was she?
My parents, they started this business together. My dad was the business end of things, and my mom was the design end of things. Basically, I grew up watching them succeed. I grew up watching them hustling. I grew up watching them make something out of basically nothing. They started with one sewing machine. They set up their own store. They set up their own factory. They grew this business ground up. And I was 24/7 exposed to that environment. So for me, this was, even before I went to design school, I kind of knew a lot of the things because I was in that field. Like during school holidays, I am on the factory floor, like with my mom. It was not so much that they encouraged me, it was the fact that I was witnessing all of this as a young age. It just became second nature for me.
So that is how you drew your attention towards the designing world. Okay, so when did you start your degree in designing?
Just after O-levels? Yeah, I did a foundation program in business, and then I switched to design school. So I actually did something called fashion marketing. So it's a bit of both business and design, like a perfect blend for me.
So what did you learn there? Now you have seen your parents doing the design and establishing the outlet. Now when you come from a qualified background in terms of education, so what was the difference there?
The main thing that I would say is the value of brand, understanding the meaning behind a brand name and how to make people associate with it, how to make people want to buy it. Because it's one thing to sell something, but it's the other thing when you create a brand people resonate with, people attach themselves to that name. So what I learned the most about my degree was the fact that how to make something wholesome, like all fit in under one. Like if it's Jezza, I want people to picture what Jezza means. Like they should know that these are the types of clothes we will sell. These are the, like I want people to have an understanding. I don't want people to not know what Jezza means. So building that brand is what I brought to the table. Because everything else was already there. The clothing, how to make it, the production, everything was established. My parents had done the groundwork. So what I brought into the table was the branding, was the name, how to associate with it.
Now today you are a mother of 2. How supportive is your husband, and how do you manage time with your children and your work?
I would say I'm extremely blessed. I have an extremely supportive father and husband. I lucked out. I mean, we're married, but we're also like bosses. So we have to be able to work together and live together. So we make it work. We make it work, surprisingly. And
what can you say for the women out there? Now they get married as soon as they are done with their O-level or A-levels, and they're at home as a mother, taking care of all the homely chores. So how can you advise them to come out of that shell and be somebody for them, so that they can also establish themselves?
I think determination is the most important thing. Like for me, some things I set my mind to, I literally don't let anyone come in my way, because I'm going to do this, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, no one come across me. So those are just like my personality traits, I would say. But I think you need strong will, determination, because as a Muslim woman from a sort of a community that does not expect you to do so much, you have to be able to put your foot down. Like you have to be able to say, sorry, I'm going to do this, I will get back to whatever else is, and I feel like we are in this culture where women are expected to be the ones who cook and be the ones who clean, and that shift has to change. I feel like this cannot be the future of women in general, all women in Sri Lanka basically, because all women are bound to certain household chores, but I feel like that's not the future of women. That should not be the future of, because boys should be raised to take on responsibilities, and women should put their foot down now, so that in the future their daughters don't have to go through this. Like I don't want my kids to do 100% of the household work. I want them to be having an equal partner who pitches in. I think determination and strong will, and the ability to say, hey, look, I want to do this, let me do it, and voicing out. Like don't keep it in you, because there's a spark, there's a fire in you that pushes you to do certain things. If you don't voice it out, people would never know. Like say, I want to do this, I want to start my own business. Like you have to be able to say it, and then there will be people who says, I don't think you can do it, maybe this is not the right time to do it.
Have you ever had that kind of people?
Oh my god.
How did you deal with them?
Just like that things are not feasible, especially when I was in the point of rebranding Jezza. A lot of people felt like this was not the way to go with Jezza, and people felt like I might mess it up. Not from my immediate.
People in the sense, was it
not
from
my immediate
the family,
circle, not
or
my family,
friends?
not even friends. Like just outside, other business colleagues and things like that. Like I do feel very blessed and lucky that I have an extremely supportive people in my life, like my parents, my siblings, my husband. Everyone is extremely supportive. But then there are these people on the outside circle who just feel like, how can she do anything? Like they didn't know what to expect from someone like me. So it was fun proving them wrong.
Okay, that's lovely. That's really nice. So what was that turning point where the store made its name?
Like I said, Jezza was there. Like my parents did start the company, so they were wholesaling throughout the country, right? We were just associated as a brand like that. When I came in, I said, let's open our own store. Let's pull out from other stores. Let's make Jezza exclusive. Let's climb that ladder, which sounded crazy a few years ago, but my dad trusted me. He was like, okay, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go for it. So that's what we did. We pulled out and we opened our own store. We made Jezza highly exclusive. We brought in a new product range that is modest wear. We sort of went for modest wear, because almost since we started, modest wear was not a huge thing in Sri Lanka. It was a small set of products hanging in a shop. It was not its own thing. So with Jezza, we really took modest wear and made it our own, basically. So it was a whole new segment of women who didn't have options. Like I remember the first time I came across modest wear, which was in college, I told my lecturer, like, nobody's making clothes for people like me, and that's what I want to do. I want to make clothes for women like me. I don't want to wear traditional clothes, but I want to wear something modern, Western, but I also want it to be modest. So that's the gap that we filled, and that's a crazy idea that we came up with. But now looking back, now, it just seems like an essential. It doesn't seem so crazy, but it was.
So what can you tell our women out there? Motivate them or to inspire them to come out of that bubble where they have created for themselves, like, I cannot do it, I'm not good enough.
Being an entrepreneur is a very passionate affair. You have to love what you do, because you're not working for somebody else. You wake up every morning and decide what needs to happen. So you need to be able to say, I'm going to do these things today, and you have to push yourself to do it. So if you have that kind of spark, I'm speaking in the sense of an entrepreneur because that's what I relate to. So if you have that spark and you have this big idea that you want to do, voice it, tell it to the people around you. And this is the crucial point. The people you tell to, it's important how they respond. If somebody says, yes, go for it, I'll help you out, versus, I don't think that's a great idea, you should, maybe let's not do that. The people who say no, stop talking to them.
Okay.
Stop telling them your big ideas, because they're just going to demotivate you. But the people who say yes, reach out to them, get their help, because no one can do anything alone. Find a support system is what I'm saying. If you're lucky, you have it within your family, but if you don't, there are other women out there who are willing to support each other. Reach out to them. Put yourself in surroundings that will support you and motivate you, because it's not something you can do alone. You need at least one person in your corner, somebody backing you, so that you can get through, because I don't know too many people who've done it all by themselves. Everyone has a support system.
Okay. So do you have a lot of friends?
I am a very introverted person. I am not a very social person.
Okay.
I have a couple of friends that I grew up with that I'm still in touch with. Yeah, like my friends are there.
Okay.
It's a very small circle, but I love them to death. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What's the best advice that you have ever received?
From my mom, she basically said that all girls need to know how to make a living on their own, because there might be a day where you don't have your family or friends or husband or anybody, so know how to make a living.
What is an advice that you can give to design your own life, like how you desire?
I don't agree with designing a life. I feel like we put too much pressure in how life should look like, the perfect job, the perfect husband, the perfect kids. You really can't, because you just have to accept things the way it comes, and you have to find moments of peace in the chaos. Because I don't believe in a easy, perfect, every day is going to be amazing kind of life, because especially if you are working or you have a business, life is chaotic. So just find moments of peace within them. So I don't think you can make life to look a certain way, but you can accept what comes to you and make that beautiful, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's lovely. Fantastic answers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all what you have shared, and I'm sure many women out there will be empowered by your inspiring work and words. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun, and this is very new for me.
It was a pleasure. We'll see you again with more inspiring and empowering stories. Till next time, this is Milhana Anwar.